I mean, obviously, some of this is our own speculation and imagination. But what do you think Jesus really was like as a person? If he was sitting at this table, like what would we see?
I think you'd see a tremendous balance of grace and truth.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say truth, we mean a commitment to what is real, a commitment to what is accurate, a commitment to what is in reality. And that can be very offensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jesus offended a lot of people, no question about it. But he also had tremendous grace and gentleness and kindness about him. He was always approachable. People were rarely awkward in approaching him, feeling that like he would just cross them off. No, the sick, the rejects of society, knew that he accepted and loved all people and that he valued all people. And that's crucial to following Christ. Self-righteousness was the sin he attacked most harshly, which is, I am morally superior to you, you are inferior to me. And he attacked that with abandon.
Which is why he went after the religious establishment.
Exactly. That's exactly right, Chad. So you see a combination, and that's one of the reasons I love Jesus so much, because you see a combination in almost every area of his life of a lot of diverse qualities. Tremendously gentle, tremendously firm, tremendously kind, tremendously courageous, tremendously concerned about hurting people, but unquestionably standing for truth, even in the face of crucifixion. So the courage, the strength, the bravery was amazing. And I think the Apostle Paul picked up on that very clearly, as he writes very clearly to Timothy, the young pastor at Ephesus, at the end of 2 Timothy, for I'm already being poured out like a drink offering, and the time has come for my departure. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me in that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. So it's a fight. It's a race. I beat my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I will not be disqualified for the prize, Paul writes. So there's an intensity, there's a strength that comes from God. It's not a cocky arrogance. It's a humility, but humility is not weakness. Humility is submission to God, forgetting myself so that I can give myself to others. And Christ modeled that, and the Apostle Paul picked up on it beautifully.
That's the whole piece, like you guys were saying. He was way tougher. If we had a conversation with him right now, he was way tougher on the insiders than the outsiders.
Yeah.
Way tougher on the Pharisees. You brood of vipers, your father's the devil, woe to you. And then John chapter 4 with the woman at the well, he's going up to her. She was obviously a prostitute, had many different husbands. The typical rabbi of the day would say, let's throw the stone.
Yeah.
And Jesus would say, no, out of John chapter 8, you who are without sin, you are the first ones to cast the stone. And everybody says, whoa, I am actually a sinner. So when Jesus operates in this kind of way, I think that gets back to the predestination point that you had. You could throw a rock almost at every exit from here up to Massachusetts and hit a frozen chosen church, where it's mainly white males, at least in the past it was, who said, no, it's going to be tribed up, just us. We are ultimately the chosen ones. We're frozen, so we're not going to evangelize and reach out to the outsiders. It's all about us. And so it's pride, spiritual egotism. But Jesus would have just wrecked those churches. He would have said, what are you doing? Where is the humility, gentleness, kindness? Where is going out and reaching the outsider? Yeah. And so I love that about Jesus. And we got to be careful in this area, because since our social media platforms have really grown, when we go to university campuses, it'll be 5,000, 6,000 people who show up who are basically all Christian. Look, we like talking to Christians, we like discipling, but we want the outsiders.
Right.
And we say, hey guys, we don't want a tribe up here. We want, sure, we'll give you guys some tools for your toolbox, but we want you to go reach people, non-believers, and not just hang out with believers. And Jesus was doing that, right?
Well, that's the last thing we were told to do, is go forth and make disciples.
Exactly.
Like,
right.
Not to just lock ourselves inside the walls of our church and preach to the choir.
Exactly.
So I mean, it's what I felt called to do. I mean, I get asked all the time with the military, like, I'm going to go speak in the military. It's one of the things I've spoken over 500,000 troops, and I'm based around the world. And usually when I get asked from the command, it's either the command going to have me come speak in a resiliency talk where I'm going to be limited at what I could say about the gospel, or I could totally speak freely about the gospel in a chaplaincy event. and they ask me which one I want to do, and it's never the chaplaincy event. I want to go within the restraints of what the military has me do, and the pillars of resiliency: mind, body, spirit, social. But the spiritual pillar, I can talk about my faith and my spiritual pillar, as opposed to having the full free range of speaking in the chaplaincy one, because the chaplaincy one is only going to be an audience of Christians. I want the Marines in the 3-5 barracks that just had, they just snuck the stripper out of their barracks room last night. That's who I want. Like, I want those Marines that are struggling with life issues and life choices and running from God or battling with the conversations about their faith and they're in this dilemma of like, I want to be a Marine, so I want to be a warrior, or do I want to be a person of faith? That we actually can do both. Like, I want to be able to talk to them. And so that's where I always go. Cause I mean, for me, if I want to go just preach a chaplaincy event, I'm just going to go do a Sunday service somewhere.
Right.
And there's plenty of pastors like you that can do that. I want to go to, right in the gates of hell.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, it's man, I love hearing that. I've had a lot of friends, and I don't know enough about this, so I'm asking you guys truly. This is not loaded from my end. That are shifting from non-denominational churches to go into the Orthodox church, and I don't understand what's that movement from. If it's a good thing, a bad thing that's happening within the Christian realm, I don't understand enough about it. It's kind of new to me, but I figured since I had you guys here, I would ask that if you guys have seen that shift as well. People leaving non-denominational churches and going to traditional Orthodox, and is that good for the faith?
Predominantly, it's young males. Fox News did a study on it not too long ago, showing that young males are going predominantly to the Eastern Orthodox as well as the Catholic Church. And we see it as the main reason for that is they want structure and they want that authority. And so I like it. It gets kind of back to what you were saying, the question of masculinity. Well, males for way too long have been sleeping in their beds, in their little man caves, in their parents' basement. Again, the New York Times did a study on this, how high the percentage is through their 40s. And COVID really pushed that too. It enabled that. And so I'm proud of these young men, as long as they're sticking to Christ within these churches, a personal relationship with grace first, and then works follows rather than works first, then I love that they're there, because it is a type of true masculinity where they want that structure and organization. That's going to hopefully be carried into their personal lives in different ways. So I think a lot of that, they're seeing that they need in this culture, especially now.
Yeah.
Amen.
Okay, I was looking for the second on that.
Disagreement or not.
It's I've been passed on some books and I haven't read them because I've been very curious because I had some buddies that were really strong believers that made this decision. It shocked me. I'm like, going Orthodox, like
right.
me. So yeah, I'm curious, but they according to them, again, it's not works based churches. It's just good, solid biblical teaching with some structure to it. So,
but I think the real issue is security. I mean, I understand why people feel very uncomfortable interpreting the Bible on their own. And I better not just interpret the Bible on my own. That's why I need church.
It's dangerous.
It sure is. Very dangerous. A good point. But to argue that there's going to be a pope or a priest or a preacher or a televangelist who's going to get it all right is a little naive. Excuse me, it's a lot naive.
Yeah.
We're all sinners. None of us are totally rational. None of us are totally objective. We all bring our own biases, our own prejudices, our own environments that we grew up in to the table. So to try and find the right person who will do it all perfectly, I think is a bit of weaseling out of what I'm responsible to do.
Because you're not going to find it, right?
Correct. I need to read the Bible, and then I need to meet with other believers and listen to them and seek to understand, where am I going wrong? Where are they going wrong? And I've got to pray for wisdom. And that is, I think, modeled throughout the New Testament. It's not a question of Peter comes along and says, you all got to be circumcised. And Paul says, no, that is a false gospel. And fortunately, Peter changed and realized, I bought into the Judaizers. I bought into the Galatian heresy. It's by grace through faith alone, not by circumcision. So that was quite a confrontation that Paul and Peter had. And yet that is a healthy confrontation. Peter began to veer off down a bad tangent, And Paul got him back online. I need people to do that to me. I'm not the be-all and end-all when it comes to interpreting the Bible. I've got to do the best job I can. Stuart does the best job he can. You do the best job you can. And then we hopefully love each other and talk with each other and try and hold each other accountable and correct each other where we feel the other one's gone wrong. And that's part of what it means to be in the body of Christ. That's why I think Paul writes pretty clearly, accept one another, bear with one another, which means we are different.
Yes.
And you are difficult at times for me to get along with, Chad. And I'm difficult. And I'm difficult for you to get along with, okay?
Yeah.
And now, is the love of Christ going to draw us together in spite of our difficulties, in spite of our differences, in spite of our idiosyncrasies? Or are we just going to go our separate ways or just say, I'm right and you're all wrong? I mean, humility's got to come into this picture at some point when we say, I got to be taught and I got to learn and I got to be open to correction.